close your eyes for a moment and think back to the 90s, a time when Saturday mornings meant cartoons, weekends were filled with outdoor adventures, and the gadgets we craved defined our childhood dreams. Before smartphones ruled the world and tablets became a household staple, there were gadgets that captured our imaginations in ways we can never forget. They weren't just toys. They were symbols of status, creativity, and pure joy. In this video, we're diving headfirst into nostalgia as we explore the top 10 gadgets every 90s kid wanted. These weren't just items on a store shelf. They were must-haves on every birthday wish list, the treasures we begged Santa to deliver, and the coolest things to show off to friends. From epic water battles in the backyard to creating your own radio shows, these gadgets weren't just about having fun. They shaped who we were. Each gadget tells a story, a piece of our childhood that lives on in our hearts. So, grab your favorite snack, settle in, and get ready for a thrilling journey back in time as we count down the gadgets that defined a generation. And don't forget to tell us which gadget was your ultimate favorite by the end of the video. Who knows? You might just inspire someone else to take a nostalgic trip down memory lane too. Ready? Let's rewind the clock and dive into the golden age of gadgets. Number 1. Game Boy. We kick off our list with a gadget that redefined gaming and childhood for an entire generation, the Nintendo Game Boy. For every kid in the 90s, owning a Game Boy wasn't just cool. It was a dream come true. The Game Boy wasn't just a gaming console, it was a portable revolution. Before its release, gaming was confined to living rooms, tethered to bulky televisions and electricity outlets. But with the Game Boy, gaming became mobile. Its compact design, durable gray casing, and iconic green and black screen meant you could take it anywhere. Road trips, vacations, or even sneaky moments under the school desk. And let's not forget the games. Tetris was the pack-in title that came with the Game Boy and became an obsession. The simple act of fitting falling blocks together turned into an addiction we couldn't put down. Later, titles like Pokemon Red and Blue took over, transporting us into a world where we could collect, trade, and battle creatures with friends. Pokemon didn't just introduce us to Pikachu. It introduced us to the concept of shared experiences in gaming. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. Remember the screen struggles? Without a backlight, you had to find the perfect angle under a lamp or rely on sunlight to play. And then there were the battery woes. For AA batteries seemed to drain faster than we could replace them, leaving us scrambling during intense gaming sessions. But even these challenges made the Game Boy memorable, fostering a sense of perseverance in every gamer. The link cable was another game changer. It let players connect their Game Boys, turning solitary gaming into a social activity. Whether it was trading Pokemon or battling friends, this little cable sparked camaraderie and friendly rivalries. The Game Boy wasn't just a gadget, it was a cultural icon. It paved the way for portable gaming and inspired a sense of wonder that every child could relate to. Do you remember the first game you played on a Game Boy? Was it Tetris, Pokemon, or another classic? Share your nostalgic Game Boy memories in the comments below. Number 2. Tamagotchi. Next on our list is a gadget that taught us the importance of responsibility and the pain of losing a virtual pet. The Tamagotchi. The Tamagotchi was a tiny, egg-shaped digital pet that fit right into your pocket. But don't let its small size fool you. This gadget carried immense emotional weight. Released in 1996, it became the ultimate symbol of childhood responsibility. From the moment your pet hatched, you were in charge of feeding it, cleaning up after it, and making sure it was happy. Miss a feeding or neglect your pet for too long, you'd come back to a pixelated gravestone. A moment of heartbreak every 90s kid remembers vividly. What made the Tamagotchi so compelling was its demand for attention. It beeped incessantly when it needed care, forcing you to pause whatever you were doing. This led to kids sneaking them into classrooms, hiding them in pencil cases, and checking on their pets during bathroom breaks. Teachers, of course, didn't appreciate this distraction, confiscating Tamagotchis left and right. But that only added to the thrill of owning one. The social aspect of Tamagotchis was equally fascinating. Kids compared pets, bragging about how long theirs survived or how many times it evolved. Some even developed creative strategies to keep their pets alive during long school hours, like leaving them in the care of a friend or setting timers to remember feeding schedules. For many kids, the Tamagotchi was a precursor to modern virtual life. It taught the basics of caregiving, time management, and dealing with loss. Looking back, it's amazing how a simple gadget could impart such profound lessons while still being endlessly fun. If you had a Tamagotchi, how long did your pet survive? And if you didn't, what pet would you have chosen if you could? Let us know your Tamagotchi stories in the comments. Number 3. Walkman. Coming in at number 3 is a gadget that let every kid feel like they had their own personal soundtrack. The Sony Walkman. The Walkman wasn't just a music player. It was a gateway to independence. With a pair of headphones and your favorite mixtape, you could escape into your own world, tuning out the noise of family road trips, bus rides, or boring afternoons. Cassettes were a huge part of the Walkman experience. You had to carefully rewind and fast forward to find your favorite tracks, and making a mixtape for a friend or crush became an art form. A perfectly curated tape was a personal statement, a way to express your feelings without saying a word. What made the Walkman truly revolutionary was its portability. Before its invention, music was tied to stationary record players or bulky boomboxes. The Walkman allowed kids to carry their tunes everywhere, creating memories with every song. But the Walkman wasn't without its quirks. Batteries ran out at the worst times, and tapes sometimes got tangled, forcing you to carefully wind them back with a pencil. Still, these little challenges added to the charm. What was the first song or album you remember playing on a Walkman? Or, if you didn't have one, what's your ultimate mixtape track list? Share your musical memories below. Number 4. Super Soaker. Let's get ready to soak up some nostalgia with one of the most iconic toys of the 90s, the Super Soaker. The Super Soaker was no ordinary water gun. Invented by NASA engineer Lonnie Johnson, this high-powered gadget turned every backyard into a battlefield. Unlike the small squirt guns of the past, the Super Soaker packed a serious punch. Its pressurized water tank meant you could drench your friends from a distance with a single shot. The design itself was bold and eye-catching, with bright neon colors and futuristic shapes that screamed fun. There were countless models, each bigger and better than the last, like the Super Soaker 50 or the Super Soaker CPS 2000, which was a beast in water fights. These weren't just toys, they were status symbols. The bigger your Super Soaker, the more respect you commanded on the battlefield. But the best part about the Super Soaker wasn't just its power. It was the creativity it inspired. Kids invented elaborate games, formed teams, and spent hours strategizing ways to soak their opponents. It wasn't just a toy. It was an experience, a rite of passage for every 90s kid. Do you remember the biggest water fight you ever had? What was your favorite Super Soaker model? Did you make do with a bucket instead? Share your water war stories below. Number 5. Polly Pocket. Next, we're diving into the magical miniature world of Polly Pocket, a toy that turned every kid's pocket into an adventure. Polly Pocket was a tiny doll with a tiny world, packed neatly into a compact case. These pocket-sized playsets came in all shapes and themes: castles, beaches, schools, and more, letting kids create elaborate stories in the palm of their hands. What made Polly Pocket so special was its portability. Kids could carry entire worlds wherever they went, whether to school, a friend's house, or a long car ride. The intricate details were another highlight. Tiny furniture, miniature pets, and even working doors made every set feel magical. Opening a new Polly Pocket was like discovering a treasure chest. And while it was mostly marketed to girls, its charm appealed to anyone who loved storytelling and creativity. Polly Pocket also became a collectible phenomenon. Kids traded playsets and boasted about rare or limited edition pieces, creating a community around these little toys. Did you own a Polly Pocket? What was your favorite playset? Or did you ever create your own tiny adventures? Let us know your Polly Pocket memories. Number 6. Viewmaster. Taking a trip down memory lane wouldn't be complete without mentioning the Viewmaster, a gadget that turned every kid into a world explorer. The Viewmaster was a handheld stereoscopic viewer that brought images to life in 3D. With a simple click of the lever, you could travel to exotic locations, visit famous landmarks, or dive into scenes from your favorite cartoons. For kids in the 90s, it was a window to the world, igniting their imagination and curiosity. The beauty of the Viewmaster was its simplicity. It didn't need batteries, screens, or Wi-Fi, just a reel of slides and a bright light. Yet, it managed to captivate kids for hours. Whether you were flipping through reels of Disney classics or exploring the solar system, every click felt like an adventure. What was the first reel you ever watched on a Viewmaster? If you could create a new reel today, what would it feature? Share your ideas in the comments. Number 7. Pogs and Slammers. Let's talk about a game that was as addictive as it was collectible. Pogs and slammers. Pogs were small cardboard discs with colorful designs that became a playground obsession. The rules were simple yet competitive. Stack the Pogs, hit them with a slammer, and keep any that flipped over. This game turned every recess into a high-stakes battle. Pogs weren't just about the game. They were about the designs. From superheroes to cartoons and shiny holographics, every Pog was unique. Kids traded, collected, and showed off their rarest finds. The slammer, often made of metal or plastic, added a layer of strategy and style. Did you play Pogs, or were you more of a collector? What was your rarest Pog or slammer? Share your playground memories. Number 8. Talkboy. Rounding out our list is the gadget every kid dreamed of after watching Home Alone 2. The Talkboy. The Talkboy wasn't just a cassette recorder, it was a tool for mischief. With its sleek silver design and extendable microphone, it let kids record, play back, and even slow down their voices to hilarious effect. After seeing Kevin McAllister use it to outsmart adults, every kid wanted one. Beyond the fun, the Talkboy was surprisingly functional. You could use it to create your own radio shows, record funny skits, or leave mysterious messages for your family. It combined creativity and entertainment in a way that felt ahead of its time. If you had a Talkboy, what's the funniest or most creative thing you recorded? And if not, what would you have done with one? Share your ideas below. Number 9. Nintendo 64. The Nintendo 64. This console was every 90s kid's gateway to a whole new world of gaming. Released in 1996, it revolutionized home gaming with its 3D graphics and multiplayer fun. Whether it was racing through the colorful tracks of Mario Kart 64 or embarking on epic quests in The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, the N64 was a dream machine. One of its most iconic features was the chunky 3-prong controller. Sure, it looked a bit confusing at first, but once you held it, you felt like a gaming pro. This console was all about sharing the fun. Many 90s kids remember gathering their friends and family to duke it out in Super Smash Bros. Or team up for co-op missions in GoldenEye 007. Even today, the N64 holds a special place in the hearts of retro gaming fans. If you had an N64, what was your favorite game to play on it? Let us know in the comments. We bet there are some epic gaming memories out there. Number 10. Furby. Love them or fear them, Furbies were impossible to ignore in the late 90s. These furry, robotic critters had a language of their own, with their eyes blinking and mouths moving as they spoke Furbish. Part toy, part pet, Furbies quickly became a worldwide phenomenon. Kids were amazed by their ability to learn and respond to human interaction. But let's be real. Some kids found Furbies a little creepy. There were stories of Furbies waking up at night, making strange noises, and staring at you with their glowing eyes. Despite that, they became a must-have gadget and were one of the hottest-selling toys during the holiday season. Whether you loved them as a fun companion or were a bit spooked by their uncanny behavior, Furbies were unforgettable. Did you own a Furby, or were you one of those kids who was a little freaked out by them? Share your Furby stories in the comments. We'd love to hear them. As we wrap up this journey through the top 10 gadgets every 90s kid wanted, we hope you enjoyed the nostalgic trip as much as we did. These gadgets weren't just toys. They were a gateway to imagination, creativity, and hours of endless fun. They remind us of a simpler time, when technology was just beginning to shape our lives in exciting ways. If this video brought back some happy memories, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to share it with your friends who grew up in the 90s. They'll love reliving these moments too. Finally, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another nostalgic deep dive. We've got plenty more stories, gadgets, and memories to explore together. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep those childhood dreams alive.